everyone, welcome to Hair of the Werewolf. I am your host Lily, and in this show, Chase and I will be discussing everything paranormal.
What's up, guys? I'm Chase.
And I'll be sharing with him some true scary stories in which my ultimate goal will be to finally scare him.
Oh, good luck with that. I love all things horror, but I just don't scare very easily.
Yeah, well, we'll see. And since you guys are already here, I will be bringing you guys along and hopefully scaring you as well. So please get as comfortable as you can so we can start discussing spirits over some spirits. And speaking of which, both Chase and I are drinking IPAs from a local brewery. Shout out to La Cumbre.
What?
And yes, what? This is how the show's basically gonna vibe, guys. So please strap in because we are going to be having an amazing time. Yeah.
So what do you have for me today?
I have a few things.
She has quite a few pieces of paper. I'm a little intimidated. I'm like, does she have like 100 scary stories or just like one really detailed one?
We'll see what I do.
Yeah, earlier when I looked over at the printer, she's like, it's not printing. I'm like, it's because it's out of paper. And then we put in paper and just sheets keep coming out. And I'm like, what the hell is happening?
I know, and I would use my laptop, but the problem is it's like, it's a beast and it like has 500 fans on it because apparently I thought it was more important to play games on it than get a more sensible laptop. But this is where we are now in life. Okay, let's get into the scariness that I'm going to share with you. And hopefully you'll get scared. That's kind of the goal here as well.
I don't scare easy. I love scary stories. I'm all about them and I'll like just dive into them. But I don't get scared too easy. I do have a few things that scare me a lot. She knows what they are, and we're going to see if you guys pick up on them throughout the episodes.
Yeah, we have some, maybe.
Right.
I don't know. I think you'll find them scary. But here we go. This is obviously October. It's Halloween season, and I wanted to kind of do more of a traditional type of scary stories. And in this case, I'm doing haunted houses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I try to pick like things that were, more traditional, scary. So. And
for all of you out there who are actually looking to buy a house, because it seems to be a housing spike right now in the market during the quarantine, this is going to be the right episode for you because the last thing you want to think about is that the house that you might be buying is haunted.
That is actually true. I stumbled a lot on like a lot of stories about just normal houses, but these particular ones that I picked out today are your classic mansion type large houses. So, like
the one in like Casper, you mean, or like House on Haunted Hill or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I'm not saying that everyone that's listening is like as poor as us, but I'm just saying that if you can afford these houses, they could be haunted too.
Why is it always rich people's houses that are haunted? I mean, you'd think there'd be a lot more like haunted ghettos, but they don't seem to be.
They could be. Maybe just nobody wants to go there because it's ghetto.
The haunted projects.
They're like, ooh, nah, I'm all right. Okay, so the first house is the Borley Rectory.
Okay, I haven't heard of this one.
It is in England.
Makes sense because they say rectory. And
they do. Because when I heard of it, but I was like, I've never really used it before. I use like monastery or parish or something like that.
Exactly.
And I thought, oh, this has to be like super different. It's more or less the same.
Yeah.
There are some differences, I think, like in the technical term, but other than just having actual like leaders of the church living there, that's basically what you need to know. So, so this one is located in Essex County in southern England. You know where that is.
We haven't been there yet.
No, we haven't.
But one day.
But it's just like north of London. And we've been to London that one time. So this one, okay. It was originally a parish in the 1800s. And the rectory itself was built in 1862. The Reverend Henry Dawson Ellis Bull lived there. However, despite many local warnings, like people who lived there their whole lives were saying, this land is haunted. There's some weird shit going on here all the time. You really don't want to build your house here. But he did it anyway. He's like, I don't care. He built his home for himself and his wife and 14 children. So
14 kids.
14 kids. I guess this probably wouldn't have been as weird at the time, but
no, I mean,
62,
they had a lot.
right?
No, they still had a lot of kids back then. Don't get me wrong, but 14 is still high. Like 8, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
10, you're like, damn. 14 though. I mean, that's 14 straight years of giving birth for the woman. I mean, the woman was pregnant for essentially 14 years of her life.
At the very, well, I don't know about maybe straight. I don't really know what the rules are, but yeah.
It's hard to get pregnant right away, but it's usually like you take just a whole year for a pregnancy, right? So she just like back to back.
Safely, but I don't know if they were really thinking about that at the time. They're like, you should just keep having kids. I don't know.
I mean, I've only been legally able to drink for 14 years. Being able to spend that whole time not drinking.
And we have not wasted a day.
I'd have a lot more money, I'll tell you that. Damn. All right, 14 kids. Keep going.
Sorry, I had to take a little sip there.
So in case you guys don't know, that's already the scariest part of the story.
Yeah.
Damn, 14
so
kids.
If you don't want kids, this is only going to get worse. Okay. So yeah, obviously he built a house right next to Benedictine Monastery. And to no one's surprise, the family, after building this house, had experienced many hauntings. It started out with disembodied footsteps within the house and outside. Most often, they would hear the footsteps following them as they walked. So this is an active ghost. It's not like, you know how sometimes when
you could say, if they're tired because they're lying in bed or something?
No. Well, no. I mean, like, I just mean, like, there's different types of ghosts, I guess, that occur. There's the ones that are just kind of in a time loop. That's how I like to describe them. Like, whether you're there or not,
they just keep doing the same thing.
Footsteps are going to be heard. Gotcha. You just, like, maybe happen to be there to catch it. And then there's the more active ghosts. They are the most active when other people are present because they are kind of draining your energy or the energy of things around them kind of way. And
or they just want to party.
They just want to party. They're like, fuck yes. I finally have some house guests.
There's some people.
Yeah. And so this is what these ghosts are doing. They want to party. They want to party with everyone because they also like to do other things. Like, for example, the servant's bell goes off by itself. One of the young daughters named Ethel would be singled out often and experience a lot of these hauntings. When she was in her room, the door would often be tapped or banged. And she has even been slapped in the face a few times.
Oh, damn. Okay, so that one a little more than just like, oh, it could be a tree outside. It's like a tree didn't walk in and slap you across the face. All right, that's a real one. That's cool. It
was not the wind. Fuck that. If someone told me, if I got slapped in the face and someone told me it's just the wind, I would slap them and be like, it was just the wind.
I would really love to see back then someone trying to find a scientific explanation. That's great. All right, keep going.
Of course, there were also countless apparitions appear. And the most often was witnessed is a nun. She was like the one that mostly everyone that went there and would see. The nun story, this is I guess her legend, she lived on the property in the 1400s where she fell in love with a young monk from another monastery. And they had plans on abandoning their positions and run away and get married together. But they got caught just before that happened, and they were both punished very severely.
How so?
Well, the monk was hanged by death, I suppose.
In the 1800s, I don't think that's severe. That's like just standard.
Right. But then the nun, they bricked her in alive.
Oh,
in the
shit.
basement. That's
just like that one Edgar Allan Poe story, The Cask of Amontillado, where the guy, he literally bricks in this drunkard that he hates. Oh, it was one of the scariest books we had to read in high school. So good. Well, it wasn't a book, it was a short story. Man, that's a terrifying way to go.
Yeah, so it just reminded me of Haunting of Hill House, right? Like
they did something like that in that too.
Yeah.
Did they say, was she like tied up? Was she unconscious? Or was she like just forced to like be sad? Or
I think if there was enough people, there was really little she could do.
Because I think the terrifying thing is seeing them brick you up as opposed to like waking up and you can't see anything, you don't know where you are. I think seeing them brick you up is scary.
I'm guessing she was alive. There was probably in my opinion, enough struggle probably. I don't know if you had enough monks. Yeah, so in essence, I think she got the shit deal, but I think it was pretty severe.
I mean, they both died. So
yeah.
You have to ask yourself, would you rather die hanging really quickly or would you rather die slowly, bricked up in darkness?
I mean, for sure, hanging, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that is her story, assuming that's the nun you're seeing.
Are there multiple nuns?
Well, Sort of. Well, let me just say. So
she's nunnish.
The outside of the area, so like where she's seen the most, she likes to hang out. It's called the Nun's Walk. So there really is a specific spot. And also, the owner of the house, Henry, the rector, he was so fascinated by this that he decided to build a summer home. It was far away enough to where it was not close to the house, but it was positioned specifically so that he can have a like ringside view to the Nun's Walk area, so he can like watch her. It's a little creepy.
You mean the ghost, right?
Yeah, so like the Henry, like I said.
Yeah, no, but I mean like so he's not scared of the ghost. He built a home so
he was actually entertained
so
by
he can
this.
watch the ghost.
Yeah, and he would like sit out there and just hang out, I guess, on his summer nights.
Damn, he's got a weird fetish.
There's a fetish for everything, I hear. So aside from walking around her favorite spot, she likes to also peer through windows. So a lot of times you'll just see her hanging out, watching you. And there's another frequent visitor that's called the Phantom Coach. The coach is black with 2 headless riders in the front. That is seen by a lot of people, and not just seen, but heard, apparently.
So not just the people of the house, like everyone sees this.
Right, so like other people who have visited, like for example, like a gardener or whoever might be on the property will sometimes hear horses like coming down like a coach. So they'll see him coming down the road, up and all the way to the house, past the house, and then down the road until you'll see it disappear, just vanish or whatever.
Sure. So,
it's a pretty lengthy apparition. Like, do you know what I mean? It's pretty strong if people have actually witnessed something like that. So those are 2 of the ghosts that this family experienced. In 1892, Henry Bull died in the Blue Room of the Rectory, and then soon after, his son, Reverend Henry Foister Bull, aka everyone called him Harry, moved into the house with his family. So
how many kids did he have?
I don't know. I didn't actually look. He had a few daughters, so at least.
So are we moving on to the next generation of people now?
Basically, but I'm thinking at this point, I think his mom still lives there too. So he just like kind of moved in. He became like the man of the house. So he moved in and brought his brood.
So it just got bigger. All I gotta say though, one thing that kind of, when we're talking about a bunch of weird things that people hear, like if you see like a headless horseman or whatnot, I'm like, okay, you see that's one thing. But I mean, if you have a house with 14 kids, you're gonna hear a lot of noises.
I'm also guessing by this point, because it's been, like 30 years. I'm guessing maybe some of his daughters, like, they got married and then moved out. It's usually how it goes. That's my guess.
Yeah.
So, unless they're Spencers, because that would be what, age 15?
Right.
If you're not married yet. So again, Henry Bull, Harry, I'm going to refer to him as that now. For whatever reason, when they moved in, the activity actually got even stronger. More things started to occur.
Mm-hmm.
And
maybe it's because the guy who died actually encouraged it, and he's gone now.
His dad, you mean?
Yeah. Well, but he's the guy who literally built a house so he could watch some ghostly nun action. So
yeah, maybe he's like, this is my jam. This is exactly what I want to do.
Maybe him passing away meant he had actually encouraged all this increased activity, and now that he's gone, the activity is now getting exposed to everyone else, or maybe the ghosts are pissed he's gone, or
I don't know.
There's ideas. Maybe
they just don't like Harry. So Harry himself witnessed full apparitions in the garden. While he was in the garden, he noticed the dog was freaked out and whimpering behind a tree. He goes over to investigate, and the closer he gets, he noticed some legs walking through the foliage. So he can't really make out the full body right away.
So like human legs or something. It's it's not like another dog.
No.
Okay.
No. Then when he finally sees the person, what comes around the corner, and he just doesn't have a head. Being headless in this area is pretty common. That's just one story from Harry. Harry also claimed to have seen the Phantom Coach himself as well. And he said the time that he saw it, it was completely silent. Well, not see it. I guess he heard it this one time. And it was super eerie because when he heard it, he thought legitimately someone was coming down the road. And it was dark, so he couldn't really see anything. He's like, should be coming up pretty soon. And then he'd hear it getting closer and closer, to a point where he freaked out and got out of the way, and then he could literally feel the ground underneath him, and what it would feel like if a coach was passed by, like the wind and everything. And then he would hear it all down the road going past him until what would normally sound of what a coach sounds like when it's out of earshot. So, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, I don't know, like, this is my experience, but yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. On July 28th, 1900, Ethel and Freda, maybe it's Frida. It's Freda.
E-E?
Just one E. Freda?
Man, it's hard to say.
I don't know.
Freda. I believe Freda. I mean, remember that, like, back then they tried to make a lot of man names feminine. Like, there was literally a Theodosia.
So maybe it was like Frederick or Fred, and they're like, just add an A, and they're like, Freda.
Exactly. I'd believe it.
Okay.
Watching somebody listen, he's like, it's Frida.
It's like, it is Frida. She's like, you bitch.
I'm a Frida. There are dozens of us.
So Ethel, you remember the little girl that got slapped when she was a kid?
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's a little older now. And
so she hasn't moved out.
No, it doesn't seem like it. So Ethel and Freda.
So maybe they spaced out their banging pretty far.
Yeah. Maybe they did that. She could be really young. Maybe she's like 14. Like the 14th. You know what I mean? Kid or something.
Gotcha.
Not 14. I don't know. Maybe she is.
Maybe she is.
So Freda Bull, who I believe, that's also Harry's sister, were walking back from a party. When they got on the property, they noticed there was a woman walking out by the trees. And so they were like, well, let's go see what she wants, because she's just like hanging out and it's pretty dark. They could see that the woman was dressed in black, like a nun, the closer that they got. And they also then started noticing that she was more gliding. So one of the sisters was so freaked out that she just ran away and left her sister. But she went to the house to get help. So she was just like, holy shit. So they go in and they tell her, their other sister, there's a ghost in the garden. You have to like come out here right now. And Elsie didn't believe her, but, she's like, I'll go check it out with you anyway. And when they arrived, the ghost turned around and appeared right in front of her, kind of like, I don't know if it's transported would be the right term, but,
it manifested itself.
It came
there.
To her, yeah.
But nothing happened to them.
Nothing happened to them.
They just got scared.
They got really scared, yeah. But okay. Elsie's now a believer. Right. So apparently she didn't really experience a lot of things, is what I'm gathering. Which would be really weird. So
was this another headless apparition?
No, this was a nun.
Oh, this was the nun, the normal nun. Okay, she wasn't a headless nun.
She wasn't headless, as far as I know. I think they would have mentioned that. That would have been really creepy. So there was a traveling carpenter who worked various jobs, everywhere. He wasn't even a local from that area, but he was hired on to do jobs on the property.
Sure.
And this guy saw a nun 4 times in 2 weeks.
Damn.
It wasn't until he saw her the 4th time that he realized it wasn't a real woman.
So do you think it's because it's so easy to dismiss because this property's right next to the
That's
church,
exactly what he thought.
Yeah,
he said, okay, there's just a nun out there. But then he wouldn't, like, pay attention to her, so maybe he wasn't really noticing that she was, like, gliding or that immediately disappeared. So it wasn't until he actually saw her the 4th time that he saw her disappear. So
for you ghosts listening, blend into your environment if you don't want to be seen. It seems to work.
Act natural.
Yeah, if you're in a construction site, look like a construction worker ghost, and boom, no one's gonna think twice.
Yeah. Like I said, I think this one was the coolest story because he wasn't a local. He didn't know anything about the hauntings, and he was mostly
didn't live there.
No, he didn't live there. He didn't hear about it from anyone really. He was just there to do a job. Like I said, he was a traveling carpenter guy, like a handyman, and so he was just like, this is another house for all I know. And then he sees that shit and he's probably like, well, not coming back to this town. In 1927, Harry died. So now we're gonna move on from that point, because I guess like in history, that's when time matters.
Yeah,
is when the patriarch, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He also actually died in the Blue Room, just like his dad. So that's a little detail I feel like I need to mention. And to this day, people believe they do see him in the house as well.
So was it called a blue room because it was painted blue, or is blue room actually a common term for a type of room in a house? Because I've heard that term more than a few times.
So I think when I saw a picture, I think it was actually blue.
Okay. Because I've just heard the term blue room enough that I'm like, is it just a room that happens to be blue, or is it like have a social significance?
I mean, what I mean is like when they say blue room, when I looked at it, it looked like a bedroom. And so I'm guessing it wasn't like
a social function room.
Right. But then, like I said, he is still seen on the property. So unlike his dad, who we jokingly said, maybe that's why he got stronger because he's around. Maybe, but no one's ever made contact, like mediums who'd like gone by and or paranormal investigators, anyone who's like asking questions. But it seems like Harry himself, he is hanging out, from what I understand.
The son's like,
from the recording of the ghosts that are in this house, no sign of the senior. So he's
interesting. And it would seem like the senior would be the one who's hanging around because he loved ghosts so much.
I know. That's what I think is there. Maybe he's hanging out in the summer house.
Any words on whether or not the son had any interest in the ghosts like his dad, or you didn't read anything like that? It didn't
seem like it. Okay. It's just more like he also experienced them, so he did believe in it, obviously, but he wasn't, amused as much.
Okay. I am not amused.
I'm not amused. It wasn't until Reverend Guy Eric Smith. Yes. And his family moved in. Soon after, while the Mrs. Smith was cleaning furniture that's already there. And so she's dusting, and there's existing furniture in the area because, as you know, like it's kind of like the property of the church itself. So that way people who are rectors can go in there, reverends, whatever. So yeah, she went into the basement to clean the cupboard, and there she discovered a paper bag, and in the bag she found a woman's skull.
Okay, wait a minute. You and me both know from taking osteology that when it comes to a skull...
I think it was later determined.
Okay, I was like, because even to this day, you can't even guarantee you can give a percentage of it's probably female or probably male, or it's relative neutral, it's all on a scale. So, like, I'm thinking these people didn't take osteology, and, like, this is the 20s, right? Because I remember thinking the Roaring 20s when the guy
1927 is when they moved in. And it would have been that year, obviously.
Yeah, and I was like, I highly doubt they just were able, unless it had, like, like hair or jewelry with it or something.
Maybe it had a bow on it. God, Chase, you're so ignorant.
Maybe it had lipstick on its non-existent lips.
God, that's disgusting. Maybe she had a little bit of lipstick in her teeth still.
All right, so they found a probably woman's skull.
Jeez, we're gonna get technical. Let's get
If I'm gonna get scared, it's gotta be accurate.
It's gotta be scientifically proven.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're gonna be waiting for a minute.
Uh-oh.
To no one's surprised, after she found the skull, the activity increased even more.
Ooh, so it's a special skull.
Yes, it was a paranormal skull. Not just your regular skull. Not like...
I don't want that skull. It's boring.
Not like you and I skulls.
There's no ghost there.
Yeah, this is a special one. The things that they would experience that were more common or frequent is tapping on the walls. Mm-hmm. They would hear whispers throughout the house. Objects would move on their own. Their servant's bell would go off still, but this time it was disconnected. So there were no more wires.
Oh.
So there's like no reason where somebody would be like, oh, Ethel, I know you're fucking around.
All right, so it sounds like there's a lot of repetition of the kinds of hauntings, which is kind of cool. I like that it's consistent. So here's the most important question. How many slaps were there?
Well, Ethel doesn't live there anymore, so the slaps have ceased.
Ethel was the only one who deserved to be slapped. The ghosts are saying, they're like, man...
Have you met Ethel?
We've been haunted for like 60, 70 years, but there was one bitch, man. Woo, had to slap her.
Had to slap the ugly off her face.
Didn't work.
No, just... Oh my god, poor Ethel. I actually feel bad for her. Okay.
Alright, so is there anything new? So I know you mentioned that they'd cut the wires. That's interesting. I would assume, though, servant's bell back in the 1800s probably wasn't electric.
No, they were wired. They were like, connected
gotcha.
on a wire.
So you're not saying electric. So you mean it's a rope on pulleys and stuff. Okay.
Right.
That makes a lot more sense. I was kind of a little weird. So servant's bell is disconnected. Anything new?
There are a few things. So let me go and try to do this chronologically because it kind of gets a little weird.
Okay.
Eventually, the Smiths was completely fed up and decided that they needed help. They're actually going to be active about it and just, get some answers. So they reached out to their local newspapers to have someone come out and basically, kind of review the area and the family, and then that way they can, post it into their newspaper.
Assume they either got a religious official or a medium or something.
So they got the reporter to go out to the house. From the local newspaper.
It's just a reporter.
To interview everyone. And then once he got all the information that he needed, I don't know if he experienced anything. I don't think I read something about that. Maybe he did. But it was enough information for him to feel like they were going to print it and like kind of put the word out. So they did. And Harry Price came in. He is basically... Did you know his name? Do you know who that is?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, at first I got confused because there was a Harry previously, but his last name wasn't Price. So I was like, wait a minute.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I got...
There's a lot of Harrys in this story. Okay, just kidding.
People were Harry back then.
He is essentially the godfather of the paranormal investigations. Like, I don't know if he's considered literally the first. Maybe it is because he was so...
He helped start the paranormal.
Popular and famous. Yeah, he's kind of the guy, like, when he first originally started out doing this, it was his basic goal to debunk a lot of this. So he wasn't going in there because he was, I believe in everything and I need everyone to know that it's real. He was more like, everyone is such full of shit and everyone's scared that I'm going to go out there, be the first person to really investigate, like from scientific, right? Whatever science they had available to them at that point. I will be doing a more thorough probably story about him because he just visits so many houses that and stories that
Sure.
And, his history. So
he comes to this house.
He does.
All right. So this house isn't just insignificant. It's
not just your average house. This is a Harry Price level house.
Harry Price. The price is right.
The price was right. It was high enough. The stakes are high here. So he was basically going to go and try to debunk, I think, from what I understand, his style. So one source says that as soon as Price entered the house and began his investigations, there were the increased paranormal activity that was occurring was still there. So he saw.
You got to see it. It wasn't like, oh, just because you're here, it all stops.
Yeah,
you got to see it. All right.
Yeah. Objects are actually flying towards people.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did he see this?
Yeah, he was there.
Oh shit.
This is stuff that I guess he recorded later, and he also had like a giant team of friggin' investigators. I think I wrote it maybe somewhere down here, but it was like up to like 40 people that he had people going in and out. He had a whole society thing going on too.
God, was he rich?
I'm guessing eventually, if not already, but yeah. He had resources.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Pebbles would hit the house and come rolling down the stairs. So actually like rocks. To make things even weirder, tapping was used to communicate with the mirror frame from the blue room. So even when they took it down or like try to communicate through it, they'll ask it questions. You would hear it tap, like it was saying yes or no.
Interesting.
Yeah. Screams can be heard from the basement.
Oh, nice.
And after the investigation...
Because I love basements.
I know you love basements, so...
My favorite.
Who doesn't love a good moldy basement?
Damp, wet, dark, everything.
Yeah, and, a bricked up lady. I mean...
The bricked up lady. Yeah, not every house comes with that these days. You really got to look for them.
You really have to fish it out. It's just really uncommon. So, where was I? The whole situation...
The mirror was
is
tapping.
Out of control. Oh, yeah, the mirror. So after the investigation, Harry Price actually did write several articles, which unfortunately for the Smiths caused a lot of people visiting the property.
Oh, nice.
The whole situation was too much for them, and eventually they moved out. They were like,
who bought it though?
Well, here we go.
Oh, right.
Enter next mail.
Yeah. So the family that doesn't like the hauntings, hates it, doesn't build a house in which to watch the hauntings, they fuck off. I like that family. They make sense.
Yeah.
Now, the family we're about to read about, who has to know what was going on there, they're the ones I'm going to be judging.
They do because, well, yeah. I mean, so after the property had been abandoned for some time, Reverend Lionel Algernon Foister and his family moved in on October 1930. He is the cousin of the previous owners. And so they were more than aware that this place was haunted.
Shit was bad.
Yeah. And the Foisters experienced the same hauntings as the previous residents, but they were more malevolent activity that occurred towards the Reverend's wife. And her name was Marianne. Her accounts include having objects thrown at her. She was pushed off her bed, and she was slapped.
Oh,
yeah.
The slaps have returned.
The slaps continue.
Sounds like she was a hussy.
Yeah. And in addition to that, the family experienced doors locking and unlocking on their own. There were also writings that would appear on the wall.
Oh, that's a new one.
Yeah, they would appear.
Now that's creepy.
They would appear and disappear.
So that's creepy.
Yeah. So of course, the creepy part, it was mostly addressed to Marianne as well.
To who?
Marianne.
Really?
Yeah. So she was slapped and was sent letters. So from the great beyond.
Man, that ghost got it's an abusive relationship. Marianne, get out. Get out.
Yeah. So some of the things that would say, and this is just like a little sample from an article. It said, Marianne, help get. And then another one would say, please for help and prayers.
All right, so for any of you who's on the subreddit, Don't Dead Open Inside, it's now like a thing in signs to try to write sentence structures interestingly, but they'll become almost impossible to read. I'm just imagining these signs just the ghost didn't write it in the right order and we're just interpreting it wrong. I think as
maybe they were trying to be cryptic though too, because Marianne, help, get. Oh, I'm dead. So dramatic.
What if it was supposed to say get Mariana help? Because they're she's got a drug problem. And the ghosts were worried.
They're like, dude, even I'm worried, and
she's like an
I'm
opium,
in hell.
She's an opium head.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what? So this now, so a family moved out, so we're how many years later? Are we in the 30s, 40s, 50s? Okay, we're in the 30s?
Yeah.
Okay. Opium addiction was a big thing then.
Yeah. So the family attempted to have the house exorcised twice, but nothing helped. Even Harry Price did a second visit and recorded these strange phenomenon. One incident that he recorded was how 2 wine bottles that he brought, and they were sealed. One of them turned into perfume, and the other one turned into ink. So
why did he bring wine with him?
He's a boozer.
Well, I know there's something wrong
Chase,
with me.
that's something we would do. We're like, I have to investigate. I'm bringing fucking wine.
People need my help. They have a haunted house. I'll bring the wine.
Guys, I'll bring the wine.
Wine party. Wine party at the haunted house.
Wine and ghosts. Oh my gosh. Okay, that should be our podcast. Wine and ghosts. So he brought the wine, and that's just a weird thing. So he also reported that, he put that in his official notes. In 1935, so 5 years later, the Foister family moved out of the home, but they claimed it was because the Reverend was sick and not the hauntings. So I don't know why they felt the need to be it wasn't because I was scared, okay?
It's because they wanted to sell the house.
Oh my god, that's so... I didn't even fucking think of that.
No, I'm serious. They literally were like, oh, the hauntings, they're fine now. He's just real sick. Yeah. We need to go somewhere else.
He's sick of these ghosts. We got to go the hell out of here.
So you can totally have this house. The hauntings are fine.
Wow, I didn't even think of that. Okay. So the rectory stayed vacant for 2 years because church officials decided to no longer allow anyone to live there. But that's until Harry Price himself convinced them to let him live there for a year. But he wasn't really living there. He wanted to rent the property for a year to investigate. So he'd go in and out with people. And this is the part what I meant.
Is this the world's first haunted house attraction? I'm just kidding. That sounds like Harry's I'm gonna make bank.
I would make bank.
This is how you got rich?
Yeah, he's like, I'll sell wine.
Sell ink, perfume, and wine.
Yeah. As my parting
Never
favors.
know what you're gonna get.
Oh my god, it's the worst wine. Fucking roulette. I would not play.
Drink it. Alright, keep going. Sorry, I didn't mean to keep it.
He also... So he needed help because it was such a big project for him. And then that's when he put out for assistance for investigators. So I guess to answer your question, I think I jumped the gun on how many investigators were there before. He did have assistance prior, but
now this is when Operation got
this
big.
is because this is when he was renting the area and he had pretty much free reign. Obviously, he can do whatever the hell he wants, and he ended up hiring 48 investigators and observers, so to take notes and stuff. And on March 27th, in 1938, he conducted a planchette seance. Planchette, right? That's how you say it.
Yeah, planchette. Yeah. So he did a
with
Ouija
colleagues.
board. Yeah.
Right, but not Ouija board.
But like the same thing that's on a Ouija board
So,
is it's an object that allows you to channel ghost energy.
Yeah, so it's channeling, and then also what they would use, because the original planchette, or one of the originals, I suppose, had a pencil at the end of it.
Oh, for
at
writing
the beak
and stuff. Oh,
area.
nice.
So it had the same spirit of what you were saying, like
Gotcha.
to give messages, but the ghosts would write them, and they would kind of like draw pictures or like whatever, communicate that way. And I guess eventually they were like, I'm just going to spell out the alphabet for you. You tell me what
It'd be so amazing if one of the first drawings a ghost did was of it slapping somebody. You remember that one time?
It's Ethel.
It's all it cares. Dude, this one time I totally slapped Ethel. All right, anyway, okay. Tell me about the planchette.
So they did that, and that night they contacted 2 spirits, so they were able to talk to 2.
Ooh, were any of them the previous guys, like Harry or
So
the dad?
one of them was a Catholic nun. This is what we have, a nun, number 2.
Did she like her house?
Get it.
That was built to watch her?
Well, this isn't the same one, probably.
Oh, okay. Just a nun. Okay, my bad.
I don't know, maybe it is, because
Okay.
now this kind of raises questions. Which nun is the nun?
None of them.
Damn it.
Dad joke.
Okay.
All right, keep going.
Why did you slap? Are you slapping Ethel?
All right.
Okay. So nun number 2 enters the chat, and she is being channeled by, I guess there's also mediums and stuff like that.
Yeah, so this is like a proper seance style
Yeah, right.
thing.
A proper seance. And she tells the story that she is from around the 1700s, named Marie. So this is French, and I don't ever know. I think it's Marie Laire.
How's it spelled? I'm curious. I can't do French either.
Laire. Lairre.
Ooh, wow, that is hard. I can't do French, but
So.
Lair, I don't know.
Yep, that's it. I'm just gonna call her Marie. Who moved from a nunnery in France to another nunnery in England, which is this area. And there she met Henry Waldengrave, who used to live in a house that once stood at the same spot. So I guess she didn't go to nunnery in that area, but she met the guy who used to live on the property that is haunted now.
Gotcha.
And started dating him. So, let's see. She eventually married him and lived in the house as well, until one night Harry went crazy and strangled her to death and then buried her down in the cellar. So she is down there as well with...
So that was a love match.
With the bricked nun. So now there's 2 nuns down there.
Wait, what? The woman who's bricked up was a nun?
Yeah, because remember, a nun and like...
Oh, that's right.
A monk got...
Sorry, we're hearing about so many people moving in and out. It's hard to keep track.
No, I know. And you can ask me questions.
So there are 2 people in this, dead people in this basement. And there was hauntings before this happened. Jeez, what are they trying to do now?
Well, no, this is from the seance that they're hearing about. So this was 1700s. So
so they're hearing about the previous stories. Okay, what? So there was already the second dead body.
So real quick recap: there's a
bad.
seance is occurring. They channel the nun, and she tells them she's from the 1700s. So she's
you actually said that, and my brain got confused.
Oh no, it's okay. We're drinking.
All right. So I'm beginning to understand the source of the haunting now. Okay, it's making sense. It's
starting to build up.
I'm getting it
with dead bodies.
I'm understanding.
Yeah. And it was, let me see. So she's down there, she's dead, she's in the cellar. And Price believes that she was the spirit that was trying to communicate with Marianne Foister while she lived there. When I had read this passage, or like in one of the articles, I was like, okay, cool. But they don't give you information like why this one specifically. But he had reasons. I haven't read any of his books. And when I tried looking up specific like notes that he's had and more information, they're like, do you want to buy this book? And I'm like, no.
No, I'm dead.
So then I go on YouTube and read a bunch of people's information that don't want to buy the book either, so they don't have the information. So now we're just a bunch of people with sharing information without buying the book, so we don't have everything.
How 21st century of us to spread misinformation rapidly.
How dare you ask me to buy a book for $3?
I will not verify these facts.
Yeah, so the second spirit that they were able to contact that night was named Sunix Amur, whatever. This entity told them that the rectory would burn that night And when they cleared ashes, they would find bones of a murdered victim. So that goes to telling them, like, you're all going to burn tonight. It didn't, though. So they were all right.
Oh, it didn't burn down?
No. Not that night, like it said. But after that, either he had enough information or he just decided to, like, move on. He didn't renew his lease. So he only stayed there for a year.
He got bored.
Yeah, he was like, I'm all right. In December 1938, Captain William Hart Gregson purchased the property and moved in. He also claimed to experience paranormal hauntings. Even his dog was so terrified of the place that he ended up running away.
Damn, what, even a pupper?
Yeah, the dog's like, I'm out. I'd rather live in the streets. Thanks.
So the house might be haunted, or it could just be thunder.
It could be a little bit of both. A few months later, on February 27th, so this was in December, now it's February next year, so 39, Gregory accidentally knocks over an oil lamp, causing the whole house to set on fire.
Oh, shit. So when they did the seance, the guy was just really bad with telling dates.
Yeah, maybe he didn't know.
Down
He's like, dude, I'm from, like, the 1400s. I don't know what day it is. Yeah, and I guess the place did end up burning to the ground. And before it went up in flames completely, people claim to have witnessed that there was a nun looking from a window in the upstairs room. So they saw the nun one last time in the house.
Once again, we don't know which nun this is.
Nope. She should have, like, a name tag or something.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, there's a lot of nuns.
Yeah, so that was, like, I guess one of the last hauntings of the house that people witnessed before it burned down.
Did they find bones of victims?
Well, they found that one skull. You know what? I think they did. I don't know if here, let's keep going. I wrote these, like, a few days ago.
The bones have been there for 20 years.
For 10 years. Okay. In 1943, Harry Price returned to the rectory.
But it was burned down.
Shh. I'm just kidding. No, it was burned down.
You returned to a pile of ash?
Yes, to do some excavation.
Oh, okay.
While he was there excavating in the cellar, he found bone fragments and a female's jawbone. So maybe he had it studied.
Once again, probably a female's jawbone.
But I think, like, he really was going in and, you know, providing information. Like, anything that he gathered, he would give to scientists and be like, what the hell is this?
Interesting.
Yeah. So eventually the entire rectory was demolished and the activity in that area stopped. There were still some hauntings in the church and cemetery, people say, but it seems to not be, like, as strong as it was when the house was... So the
house was quite literally haunted.
I think they were attached to the house.
Yeah, so it wasn't like the house was on an Indian burial ground where everything there is haunted. It definitely felt like the house was part of the problem.
Right. I don't think they had the same kind of Indian burial ground issues as we do in the States, so...
Well, I mean, the United States, everywhere is essentially an Indian burial ground because the people lived here for thousands of years.
I was like, because they were
They're
here.
Buried
they
everywhere.
were literally living here.
Yeah, they're buried everywhere.
Yeah. And again, when people go there for any investigations, they tend to go to the church. And in the church, people can hear disembodied footsteps. They might hear the organ playing on its own. They do say that there's still a nun walking around in the grave, too. Maybe she just, like, changed location. Yeah, so Harry Price ended up writing 2 books about this specific house, and unfortunately died when he was writing his third, but it tells you every single encounter that he experienced while he was there, and he does say, and he believes, that the Borley Rectory was the most haunted house in England.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ta-da. That's pretty interesting. So, they should make that into a movie and call it The Slapping.
The Slappening?
The Slappening.
They actually do have a movie called The Borley Rectory, I think.
Really?
But I didn't look into it. It didn't look very good.
It's hard to make a movie that takes place over, like, 50 years of hauntings.
That's true.
That's got to be difficult. I mean, how many biopics, when they keep skipping around, you get over it? I don't know about you, but I think I need a refill. I'm running a little dry.
Yeah, I think we should get some more beer.
We'll be back in just, like, a few minutes, guys.
Yeah, how long would it take to pour a beer? Come on. Okay, so we're back from a little break that we had. It was just a small break. A whole day. Okay, so we are on story 2, and this one is The Haunted Lemp Mansion.
It's got a lot to live up to. I have an incredibly high slapping expectation for this one.
We'll see how many slaps you get this time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Better be some.
This one is in St. Louis, Missouri.
In the Missouri?
In the Missouri. So, we're going to go.
Hey, we might drive through St. Louis
Yeah,
next
I was going to say, we probably will be
See
there
the big old
somewhere.
arch? It's cool.
Yeah. So, this is one of the top 10 haunted houses in America.
According to
the websites I visited yesterday.
All right. So according to people who don't have any credit, but just
and a YouTube channel I watched. So sweet. I think that's got a lot of cred.
Factcheck.org. This shit. I don't even know if it's the top haunted house.
Yeah, it is. So just bear with me. This story begins with Johann Adam Lemp, who migrated from. I looked it up how to pronounce it. Eschweg.
Did you say migrated from?
Oh
like he's a bird? Immigrated. Jeez. he migrated north for the winter.
Yes, he was, actually.
Okay, so where is Johann from?
So he's a big bird, so.
Yeah, so where's Johann from?
Eschweg. Germany to St. Louis. He migrated. In 1838, he owned his own grocery store, in which he also sold his own beer that he brewed.
Oh, nice.
From a recipe that he had passed down from his father.
Johann's my kind of guy.
Yeah, it was a light lager beer, and so it was really just super new for the American beer industry, I guess, at the time.
You didn't give us a date, right? So when would this be? Mid-1800s?
1838 is what
yeah, mid-1800s, okay.
Well,
that's when German beer, that's right around the time when it started getting really big.
Yeah. I know you know a lot of the history, so that's why I try to be accurate with the history part, but we'll see what I did. You can let me know if I'm like, no, that wasn't true. Because I know you read like multiple books, right? I don't know.
Yeah, the history.
Or was it one book?
I've read 2 books on the history of beer in America.
That's more books than me. Okay, so.
Well, on beer.
I know, on beer, I understand.
You definitely read way more books than me.
But mine are like fake history because they're fiction.
Yeah.
So passed down from his father, and he was doing so well that just in 2 years, he was able to open up his own brewery. And actually, that brewery, from what I understand, was located like literally right next to where the arches would be built eventually.
Oh, cool.
Because, they were later.
Well, you probably wanted to be near a river because of the water.
Exactly. And that would be super smart. As time went on, the production of his brewery also kept growing from just even to having his own brewery. He needed to expand even more. So he went out and searched for a location, and he found some limestone caves just south of the city limits. So there's some caves going on.
I need to expand my business. Anyone know of any caves around here? I just got an idea.
It was just, I guess, the perfect environment because it's always like 60 degrees
or
some shit like that.
It's a cellar temperature
exactly.
for lagering.
So they were like, this is perfect to store my friggin' beer without, doing a whole lot. From there, the name of the brewery, I guess, was Lemp Western Brewing Company. So it just continued to grow and prosper. 1858, he entered it into the St. Louis Fair and won.
Nice.
I think I just put that in there because I was like, I don't know. I like winning.
Was it a blue ribbon?
Was it like kind of the same thing as what Pabst did? But I don't know.
That was at the World's Fair.
Yeah,
Chicago.
So I don't think
that was a much bigger event.
I guess so.
That meant Pabst was the best beer in the world.
1 year.
Yeah. This one just means it might be the best beer at the fair in St. Louis that year.
Yeah. So anyway.
Nice try. Pabst is better.
Yeah, nice try. Lemp. 1862. Adam Lemp died. He was like 64.
It's because he didn't get the best beer in the world.
He was like, wow, I guess I should just die. This is so stupid.
Tuesday, to-do list, die.
It was to brew another beer, but apparently not. But this time, his family was actually pretty much millionaires anyway, so it didn't, not that it didn't matter.
Thanks for all the money, Dad.
I guess what I meant was they were pretty well off, so like they were able to like continue, you know what I mean? They weren't just like...
It didn't destroy the company.
Right. So his son, William Lemp...
Yeah, it didn't matter. Jeez, you're evil.
See you, Dad. So his son, William Lemp, took over the brewery and decided to expand it. And he...
Did he think about changing the name, or...?
No, because he still has his last name, too. So it would be weird if he did by this point. It consisted of 27 buildings on a 13.7 acreage of land, which is 55,442 square meters-ish. By 1870, Lemp Brewery pretty much owned St. Louis market of beer, so they were kind of a big deal. And then they ended up building a house right next door their brewery so that they can be near their production. And so William also decided, it'd be a really good idea if I build a fucking tunnel from my house to the caves of the brewery, because why the fuck not? And then he also thought it would be a really good idea to build a theater, a large swimming pool, and a bowling area.
This is a big damn cave.
It's a really fucking big cave, from what I understand. Yeah, and
How have I not heard of this brewery? If it was that big.
Well, you will know why, my friend. So.
Okay, because I was like, there's another massive brewery that owns St. Louis, and it sure as hell ain't Lemp.
It's not Lemp anymore, maybe, but yeah.
Yeah, well, unless it changed its name to Budweiser, I'm confused.
So so I guess the house was already built there. I think I just read my notes wrong because I finally decided to really read them. The house already existed, and he already lived there. His dad had built it, I guess. But he was a guy who, made it super extravagant, I guess. He was just, because it already had, 30-plus rooms, but I guess that wasn't enough.
Yeah.
By 1890, Lemp Brewery was distributing throughout the country, and he helped his friends, Pabst, Anheuser, and Busch. That's probably why. And, he helped them get their brewery started. Anyway, despite their unsurmountable success of the family, they couldn't escape tragedy. In 1901, William's favorite son died when he was 28 from heart failure, and he died in the mansion. So he stuck with his other lesser favorite sons, I guess. And 3 years after that, his friend Frederick Pabst died. He was pretty depressed at this point. He had already been deteriorating physically and mentally since his son passed away, but I guess this really just made him go spiraling into depression. So he ended up shooting himself in the head and died.
Damn.
Yeah. When he shot himself, his son, William Jr., ran up the stairs, knocked down the door because it was locked, and found his father dead in his room. This comes up again, so just remember that fact. William Lemp Jr. took over the family business, and he inherited the entire fortune. 1904, he and his wife Lillian moved in and proceeded to spend tons of money. This kid was super spoiled, and just spending tons of money on art, clothes, traveling, just all kinds of shit. Side note is Lillian was obsessed with lavender, not just the color, but the scent as well. So that's just something that y'all have to remember. Also, just remember everything I'm saying.
I didn't know there was going to be a quiz at the end.
There is, and it's going to be hard, and it's not open book, so be ready. William Jr. was also a bit controlling, and he liked to have sex with other women. He also didn't really want his wife around, so he told her. He literally was like, you have to go out and spend $1,000 a day, or else I will cut you off. He forced her to be out shopping and stuff like that.
He's a smart guy. And
why would that be a smart guy?
I'm being sarcastic. Seriously, he's like, you should spend money or I'm going to cut you off. It's like, this is before credit cards and electronic things. He gives you $1,000. You go and you say, oh yeah, I spent it at the theater watching a play. And then you stuff the money in your pocket. And before you know it, you've got a shit ton of money.
I think she probably had to be out is a point and really spend it, because I'm gonna go ahead and assume that he's gonna figure out that the theater isn't $1,000. So
I don't know. He sounds like an idiot.
But by today's standards, because I just double checked, it's with inflation or whatever, it would be equal to $26,290 and 91 cents a day. Yeah.
Man, I'd have a hard time spending that in a fucking month.
Honestly, I would just.
But I don't do extravagant things because I don't like them.
Oh my God, shut up. We don't have any money.
I know, but I was even if we did, I don't think to myself, man, if I was rich, I want a Lamborghini.
I wouldn't spend that much money. I'm like,
No,
you would have a Moon Knight mansion.
I would. Everything would be Moon Knight themed. I'd have Moon Knight toilet,
and then
Moon
you
Knight
would
sink.
tell me spend $1,000 a day,
so I can be
but
home.
not inflation considering. You would just tell me $1,000,
or else I'll cut you off.
so you could be with Moon Knight all
so
day.
I could just roll around on my Moon Knight carpet. Don't get between me and my loves.
Oh my god. So yeah, so I guess it worked because Lillian was out of his way, and he would, run the brewery by day and then have fancy sexy parties in the cave later
by night.
By
Instead
night.
of being a superhero,
He's the
just
worst
a
superhero
juggalo.
His superpower is pimp,
so gross. This guy is fucking terrible.
He's the worst. And it just gets worse, I think. So with his sexy parties, he entertained his friends, prostitutes, had free beer, and they all hung out at the pool. It kind of sounds fun, minus prostitutes. I don't know if I really need that part, but I would really totally dig being in a pool cave. So, unsurprisingly, William Jr. eventually got another woman pregnant, and there was no official document to record this because it was something that he didn't really want anyone to ever know. But he still took in the child for some reason and kept him in the attic his whole life.
What?
Yeah. Now, because there's no official documents, it's kind of one of those things that people are like, I don't know, did it really happen? But, later when servants, people who lived there because they worked there, would verify, be like, yeah, he keeps his illegitimate child in the attic. And to make matters worse, they named him Monkey Face Boy because he has Down syndrome.
Oh my god.
I was like, what?
I was about to say a joke until you dropped that.
You can't.
And then I was like, there is no jokes that are appropriate.
I was
that kid
so pissed.
Has the worst life ever.
But whatever, this guy's a douchebag. William eventually made it official and divorced his wife in 1908. I guess it was such a big scandal. People would actually go to, court or, stand outside waiting for them to come out when they were, in trial or whatever.
Okay.
It's all coming back, I promise. Then in 1919, when Prohibition was about to be passed, because it was in 1920 when it was passed, in January, I think. By this point, after the divorce and everything, he wasn't really taking care of the brewery itself, so it wasn't really doing as well anyway. So it's starting to really go down.
Okay.
Right. So I guess he didn't really care, and again, the family now are probably billionaires at this point. And in case you're wondering about the workers in the brewery and stuff like that, they were notified by the fact that they were closing when they arrived to work, and the gates were closed, and they saw a sign outside saying that it's closed and you no longer have a job. That's pretty fucking who this person is.
So the company broke up with the employees with a Post-it note, huh?
Yeah. Yes, they were broken up with a Post-it note, which is by far the worst thing ever.
Worst thing ever.
Yeah, I mean, Carrie Bradshaw was totally just on point with that one.
We didn't realize that was a historical reenactment.
Of the Lemp Brewery and their employees. Yeah, you didn't know that? Wow, it was so obvious. In 1920, William's sister committed suicide and shooting herself as well.
It's a popular way to go in this family.
There really wasn't a whole lot of information as to why she did it, other than she was having a really hard time in her marriage. Maybe that was enough.
I mean, you'd think around this time, everyone's shooting themselves, but you think most of these people would just OD. And, I mean, it's because so many illegal narcotics now were completely legal then.
Yeah,
so it's just do cocaine all night and kill yourself by doing too much.
Go out with a rush.
Yeah, I don't know. No, seriously. Not ooh, hey, look, a gun.
Yeah, so I guess she died in the house as well, from what I understand. Eventually, the assets of the brewery were liquidated, and for a fraction of their cost, William began to decline in depression as well. I mean, I give a shit, but he did. He had married...
Pretty happy that he's gone into depression.
He did remarry at some point, and I guess that relationship was going to shit as well. But he died in 1922 after his sister's suicide, not too long after, because I think it was only 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. And he shot himself in the heart.
Another shooting.
Yeah, in the office, which is in the mansion, obviously. His brother...
So wait, did his sister die in the mansion as well?
Yeah, from what I understand...
Shit, so we've had, what, four gun suicides.
Oh, well, 3 gun suicide,
and
4
one normal
deaths.
death. Yeah, the first death was a normal death.
Yeah, exactly.
Heart failure. But yeah, so
normal, but he was 28, so, but you know what I mean.
No, but I mean, it wasn't a suicide.
Like, I don't think he wanted to die.
And more importantly, it was a non-gun based suicide.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, so I feel like I'm getting the background information to the story that you find out when you're watching, like, the horror movie. You find this stuff out later, but you're, like, giving it to me up front.
I'm just going to give it to you now. So, all
right.
Be ready. His brother, Charles Lemp, eventually moved into the mansion and restored it. Which, by the way, he, William's illegitimate child.
The poor one that was stuck in the attic?
Yes. He's still there, according to people. Like, he would have still been there. And
who's taking care of it?
I guess, like, just servants. Like, they'll, like, bring him food and crap, but, like, no one's really doing a whole lot about it. So, yeah, but he did die eventually, like, in his 30s, and so...
the illegitimate child.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to give him an appropriate name, but he apparently didn't have one.
I don't know.
That's so horrible.
Yeah, and it doesn't really... Yeah, because there's, like, I guess he was buried just outside the family cemetery. And he has a small plaque on his grave that just says Lemp. So...
That's so horrifying.
I don't know, yeah. That's what people said. I've never been to St. Louis. I have not seen this grave. But the fact that if it does exist, then obviously I feel like this would be pretty true and fairly accurate based on other people's accounts that used to live there. That wasn't family. And trying to keep it a secret. You look so depressed.
This is miserable.
You're not even making eye contact.
But you're not telling me anything scary. You're just making me really sad.
I know. So, but hopefully, this is all going to enhance other things, maybe. I'm almost done, I promise. So, but I do want to say not too long
if your last line is, and then things got scary, I'll be really mad.
When I'm done with the whole thing.
You're like, and then it got scary.
And then now they hear footsteps. The end. I'm just kidding. You were like, I fucking hate you. Do not be disappointed. I mean, we'll get there. Not too long after, in 1949, Charles went a little crazy. And he already been dealing with some mental issues, like, so he had severe OCD, and he basically became a recluse as well. Well, one day, he thought, fuck it, and took his dog to the basement and shot him, and then went upstairs to his room on the 2nd floor, and then shot himself. So,
5 deaths, 4 suicides by gunshot.
Yeah.
And then the dog death, which is really uncool.
So, I guess a dog died by shot, but not suicide. I don't think the dog was like...
Yeah, you don't find too many dogs that want to kill themselves.
No, not that I know of.
So far, that dog is more sane than most of this family.
I think this poor dog was the sanest person in the house, for sure. Another little point of that. When he shot himself upstairs in his room, he wasn't discovered until the next day, but he was in his staircase with a gun in his hand. So it seemed like he didn't die right away, and then he dragged his body to the staircase. Yeah, wow, this guy really. The only remaining brother, Edwin, had far removed himself from the family since like 1913. But he was also a little eccentric because he requested that upon his death that his butler needed to burn all of his paintings, important documents, and other precious artifacts, which I guess he did comply. Super random. I just think this family's a little nutty.
If I was the butler, I'd be like, or I could keep this.
Yeah, I was like, I burnt it all.
Yeah,
it's totally fine.
I totally kept them because they're worth a lot of money.
This butler, let's just put it this way, he's not a butler anymore. Yeah.
He no longer buttles.
He doesn't buttle. So, the hauntings. Woo-hoo, we're here after a history lesson. And yes, you will be quizzed. So the house was eventually turned into a boarding house. Once everyone died, basically, by shooting themselves, I suppose. And by this time, the house was not kept up, and it began to deteriorate. This is more or less when people began to experience strange hauntings, and the boarding house was having a really hard time keeping tenants as well because of this. And eventually, it was sold to... it was sold in 1975 to Dick Pointer and his family. They renovated the place and turned it into a hotel and restaurant, and the staff there were experiencing a ton of weird stuff that they were like, this is awful. So they had a more or less like high turnover for a while because they couldn't even keep their staff. Maybe that's like just an excuse. I don't know. Maybe they were like paying them shit, but
I think that's probably because they got paid really badly. I mean, there are so many people who we see on TV shows. We see like waiters and everything who work at places like, yeah, it's haunted. Like,
I just don't friends who like,
yeah, they're like, I just don't like going this place at night, like down into this basement at night. But they still work there. Like you said, people want to get paid. You leave a job because you're treated like crap.
Yeah, possibly that's very much the case. But who knows? But, you know.
Now, if customers coming in there and eating or staying the night leave because they're freaking scared, that's a different story.
Well, then buckle up. The area that gets the most activities that people have claimed are the staircase, attic, and the basement, which they endearingly named the Gates of Hell. The attic. As previously mentioned... Question 1. Who lived in the attic?
The poor child with a very bad name.
Exactly. So this is exactly why it's considered one of the most haunted spots as well. People on the streets have literally come into the place and told someone that, you know, there was like a boy crying up in the window way on top, and I'm concerned, is, you know, can someone go check or something? And when they're like, sure, we'll check, there's no one there. There's not even a child like in the guest list, or, you know, the guests that are staying, there's not even kids there. So people have actually seen this. He's like trying to get people's attention on the street. When investigators go into that room, they tend to, what they want to do is obviously communicate with this child. And he, or, you know, I guess he would have been an adult when he died, but you know what I mean. And they would sometimes put sensors down. I don't know if you've ever seen some of the paranormal investigating kind of shows that I watch, but there's different tools that they use to have like, I mean, not just like electrical presence, but literally like pressure as well. And whenever they put a toy in the middle of the room and they say, hey, we want to play and hang out with you and stuff like that, it's basically almost guaranteed to get something out of it. They also say that if you leave a toy in the room, and then you come back the next day, it'll guarantee be moved somewhere else in the room. So that's just something that's just been recorded, like
in this
time
room.
And time again. Yeah. So that's pretty sad and interesting, I guess. Like, you know what I mean? Another one, they will hear footsteps running up and down the stairs. So question number 2, who ran up the stairs, knocked down the door, and found his father dead?
The son. I mean, this is a perfect example of giving the answer in the question.
William Lemp is the correct answer, but I accept yours as well because it's technically the truth. Yeah, so people can hear that to this day. They say they'll hear what sounds like someone frantically running up the stairs and then knock open a door, but no door is being knocked over. These are just like the sounds that are a recreation of a moment in time. So that is pretty cool, although not the circumstance. That's kind of depressing. The cave. Investigators and staff that have gone down there have almost always also felt or seen or experienced something down there. People have heard a dog bark in the basement, being followed by shadowy figures. One time, a maintenance guy went down there in the cave to do some work, and when he walked into a side room, he noticed that there were candles aligned along the wall and on the ground. So he thinks that people were sometimes go down there for doing like some sort of weird rituals. Seances or... just, yeah, maybe like trying to communicate and, or just, you know, be weird. You know, just normal stuff. Tools will vanish or move to different locations moments after setting them down. So maintenance men really fucking hate that. Feeling like you're being watched and hearing footsteps is basically expected. And also seeing shadowy figures. So whenever you're like down there and you see something move in the corner of your eye, it's usually like the shadows are dancing around you. So that's fucked up. Another area that people claim to be haunted is the women's bathroom, which used to be William Jr., you know, the douchebag, his personal bathroom. And women have often complained and said they feel like they're being watched the whole time, but
so they think he's perving out on them.
Then literally see like a person come and peer through the freaking stall. And you know this is the United States, so it's not shut. It's like,
we have the worst stalls.
We have the worst bathrooms. And also, they will sometimes catch someone, like, real quick peer over the stall. So either William is still being the perv that he is, or they have a really pervy person in the staff, and he's just like, it's the Williams.
They're going to blame it on the ghost. Going to get me a look.
But, like, it just happens at different times. No one would be around. They wouldn't hear someone else come in. So it's very much like, I guess it's William Jr. being William Jr. That asshole. So let's see. What else do I have? So other hauntings. The current owners were interviewed by an episode of Ghost Adventures. And I watched that episode a long time ago. But then I remembered, holy shit, I should rewatch it and actually get some notes out of it. And the husband recounted? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Why did that sound weird? Maybe it's because I've taken 3 shots. Okay. At the time when his wife approached him while he was working in the kitchen and she was cleaning a room, but she went down there to get him and she was like, hey, can you come up to the bedroom real quick? Because I need to show you something. And he's like, okay, whatever, let's go. So he goes up there and she's like, do you see anything like weird in here? And he's like, no, everything seems fine to me. Which, by the way, would be my reaction because I just have like the worst spatial awareness. So I would be like, I don't know, it's a bedroom. Anyway, she's like, so I was dusting, the portraits, and I was like, the room, cleaning up, tidying up, and I left for a moment. When I came back, every single picture in the room, and he's like, at this point he noticed as well, were upside down. And he was like looking around like, what the hell? And these are some of them are pretty large and heavy, so unless she was dedicated to scare her husband, which it doesn't seem like her personality, I suppose, maybe it is, I don't know. But he was like, it was just weird. And I obviously was a little spooked, is what he said. So I thought that was pretty cool. Guests have often felt like they were being watched. Another common complaint is that they'll feel like they're being touched while they're slept, which I'm like, fuck you. Do not touch me when I'm sleeping. Because that is like the last thing I ever want, even when...
You're cool with all the other hauntings? Well, but that's the one. That's where I draw the line.
You can totally put the pictures upside down. I don't give a shit. Do not touch me when I'm sleeping. That would piss me off. Guests have often also smelled lavender. Question number 3.
Now that's the one that pisses me off because
question number 3. Who?
The mom was obsessed with lavender. The wife. The wife that got cheated on.
What's her name?
You know how bad I am with names?
It literally is almost my name.
Is it Lilibeth?
It's Lillian.
Oh, Lillian.
You bitch.
I didn't know it was literally your name.
No, my name's Liliana.
No, I know, but I mean, I didn't know it was like one letter. It's like I was thinking of something like Lilibeth.
I said it's basically my name.
Oh, okay.
She just doesn't know how to spell and forgot the other A. It's fine. So like I said, lavender, that would piss you off. And I thought that was so funny because when I was reading lavender. This, I was like, oh man, this is exactly what Chase would be like, we're fucking leaving this place.
See, and for people listening, just super quick, it's not that lavender is inherently bad. I was never partial to it, but I worked as a dishwasher on a lavender farm. And we made sure our dish soap was lavender dish soap, and everything we did had lavender in it. So I pretty much smelled nothing but lavender for an entire summer. And I think that was a lifetime supply of lavender, and I'm done with it.
That I can understand. I mean, and also you're associating with like your job and washing nasty dishes.
Yeah, cleaning other people's filthy dishes and showing up at a job I hated. Yeah, everything about it sucked.
I don't blame you, although I do like lavender, but I never had to indulge myself into it. Where was I? I don't know. Being watched. Lavender. Oh, yeah, and lavender as well is sometimes people will be like, this fucking lavender smell is following me. Or they'll be like, it's permeating from the furniture.
That would be totally easy for the like the restaurant or hotel, whatever, to like just have, lavender scents on, because like it totally fits the ghost story.
You're like this one guy with a spray bottle. He's like, I got all lavender in the fucking furniture again.
Just to scare the customers. I mean, it's not like
a guy who probably hates lavender too.
Yeah, but I mean, we're not talking like a job, and we're not talking smells like, wow, I smell rotten meat sometimes when I'm walking up the stairs. Like, it's not like one of those horrible smells. Like, it's freaking lavender. I mean,
yeah, it's not a demon.
There's nothing haunting about lavender. I bet it's fake.
Something threatening, I suppose. Is that fake?
So far, none of these hauntings are genuinely scary, and they all feel...
How dare you?
No, they all feel very much like... I mean, we're talking footsteps. Like, okay, seeing a kid crying on the top, that one bothers me. But, like, we're pretty much hearing footsteps.
What about the cave? What about the dogs barking in the basement?
See, that doesn't bother me. Finding a bunch of candles, that's weird. But that doesn't feel like a haunting. That feels like weird people who are interested in the haunting doing things.
Right. Yeah, I guess you're wrong.
So, I mean, how is that? So far, nothing on here says top 10 horror film. I'm top 10 horror film. Haunted location. I don't
this is your classic. Okay, I'm going with the classics here.
All right.
So get it together.
So I'm apparently not scared of classics.
No, I guess you're just so cool.
I want blood dripping down the walls in guest room. That's what I want.
Oh, so you want me to...
Not pitter-patter. Oh, I heard some footsteps. Definitely top 10 haunted.
Some footsteps and some lavender. What? That's not scary for you? What? Okay, fine. So, aside from the lavender, moving on from that, we are... Now the staff. Some of the staff members have witnessed a person, like, particularly like a waiter or like a bartender, would see someone sitting at a table and they'll be like, oh, he probably needs some help. And so he'll go and see what he wants, and then they will disappear right in front of them. That's kind of douchey. He's like, cool, I have some tips coming. Nope. See ya.
You can imagine the boss saying, he's like, why don't you ever see you do anything? Well, every time I walk up to a guest, they disappear, bro. So I'm just going to sit here. They can come order from me.
Yeah, I'm going to let the ghosts come to me this time. Yeah. The bartenders also claim to have seen glasses shoot across the room and shatter, lights being turned on and off on their own, and they hear the piano when no one is nearby, or like it's closed and they're the only other person there, which is... That would scare me.
See, that would scare me too.
For some reason, that scares me.
I know they have automatic pianos, but if I'm like at the hotel by myself at night, like cleaning the floor, and all of a sudden the piano starts playing, I'll be like, okay, this is some shining shit right here.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I'm out. There are also just general apparitions appearing in old-timey clothes. I like that. Old-timey. But you know the timey we're talking about.
Yeah, you can't tell that to kids these days because them old-timey means
they're like the 90s?
Yeah, they're wearing like they're wearing like plaid and JNCOs. Is that what you mean?
Okay, that's worse. I would rather see an 1800s attire versus some JNCOs.
The ghost in JNCOs.
I'm like, get the hell out of here, JNCOs. You are dead.
You were dead on arrival.
You died for a reason. Another thing is... Oh, there's a little story. One of the painters when the place was being renovated to become a hotel, while he was painting the ceilings, this guy just was like, I feel like someone's watching me, or like feeling really just negative energy. Do you know what I mean? Like just feeling kind of scared in general. And so he kept looking around, and it was just so strong. He said that he was overcome with intense fear and complete negativity that he just literally fucked off, which is exactly what I think everyone should do all the time.
Well, that's a telltale sign of a heart attack. I'm not joking. If all of a sudden
he's still alive.
If
probably.
You feel like sudden doom and impending,
but it wasn't like in him. It was like external. Do you know what I mean? Like when I see, I don't know, when I see maybe someone like looking shady and, you know, coked out on the street in the night, and I'm like trying to get to the freaking market in my pajamas, like, yeah, that's like of a situation where I would feel intense fear and like dread, but I know I'm not having a heart attack because I could physically feel the threat outside of me.
Sure.
And that's what he's describing. And plus he did die. So I'm guessing it wasn't a heart attack. But I guess he did come back the next day and finish the job, so that's fine. In case you were worried. The ceiling is painted.
You gotta finish your work, man. Integrity.
Yeah.
Without integrity, you have nothing.
They often hear voices. I know, you're rolling your eyes. You're like, oh my god, every haunting. There are also, people have also felt like they're being shoved, which again would piss me off.
Yeah, that'd really piss you off.
And I'd be like, oh no.
You'd like turn around. Well, you're like straightening your hair, and then you turn around, you're like, can you fucking not?
I would be like, I am burning this place down. You can fuck off. But anyway, screams can also sometimes be heard, and even telling them to leave or get out.
Nice.
Yeah, that would actually kind of scare me. But only because I don't like loud noises suddenly, so I'd be really pissed too. pissed and scared.
Yeah, you'd be scared.
I'd be so upset.
You'd leave the hotel like mad. It's like, is it haunted? Yeah, ghosts are fucking assholes. They're
God,
pushing.
they're assholes.
They're shoving me. They're fucking screaming.
You know, you would be the one smelling lavender and be like, oh no, a ghost. And I'll be like being shoved. And I'm like, oh.
Pushed down the stairs.
I'm going to kill them. Yeah.
I'm gonna go get Venkman and come back here and fuck you up. Fuck you guys.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna haunt this shit.
I would go down, like if I died, I'm like come back there and slap them. I will be the slapping ghost.
Oh yeah, we haven't had any slapping. Maybe that's why I'm not scared
maybe
yet.
it shoves, not slaps. So, oh well. Maybe next time. But yeah, that is the story. So, ta-da! I'm Buzz now.
And I'm not scared.
And you are not scared. However, it's been a day since the first break, but don't lie.
First story was way scarier.
Borley Rectory, and I know you said that freaked you out a little bit. So.
Yeah, there was some freaky stuff in that one. That one was pretty good. This one, I don't know. This seems like just textbook boring. This house is haunted. No, I mean like hauntings. Like this house is haunted. You're like, what do you hear? Is like there's some voices. There's some pitter patter, some footsteps, and
I don't know.
Occasionally you smell something. It's not like you've seen like people get like thrown down the stairs multiple times, and
there's some shoving.
There's some shoving apparently.
Some shoving and moving of your tools. How annoying! It's kind of creepy.
That haunting is as mild as their light lager beer.
It is very mild.
So seriously, what are the other 9 most
Borley
haunted places in the
that'll come up later.
US?
I probably will sprinkle them throughout time while we do this. But right now, I think I just wanted to do classic because it's kind of our first episode. It's October. Who doesn't like mansion hauntings? Apparently you, but
I'm gonna go check out some pictures and I'll see how creepy this place looks.
Well, the Borley house is definitely different. It's more. Well, let me think about it because the pictures that I saw were so old. But the Lemp Mansion, it's very obviously like just of 1800s vibes. Sure. We all know what that looks like. I'm not very good with the architecture terms, but there's like carpet everywhere, some like kind of more lavish type of like decorations, kind of cluttery.
Sure.
But fancy clutter, not just like pack rat clutter. I'm not a big fan. I like being there because we've stayed at places that are kind of like that. And I think it's super interesting, but in a like time warp Disneyland kind of way. Not like I want to decorate my house this way. So like it was cool.
You're not into the Victorian or Edwardian aesthetics? Not
even a little bit.
There's this one train board game I should introduce you to. You'll really like it.
Stop trying to make me play it. It looks so old-timey.
It's 1910, so it's not 1800s. But they kept all the good stuff.
It's 1910, you said?
1910.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's still kind of...
It's 4 years before...
the mansion...
No, 2 years before the Titanic? Wait, was Titanic 1912? Yeah, it was April 14th when it sank, right? But that was 1912. I think there's a 14 somewhere in there.
I remember the year.
I think it's the date. I think it was like April 14th, 1912.
Yeah, so think that, and then that's a mansion. Just the Titanic... Or the haunted house version of the Titanic.
Imagine the mansion sinking after it hits an iceberg.
Yeah, it sinks into the cave. I can see that happening.
It's a lavender iceberg.
Oh my god. It smells so good. Oh well.
Goodbye, everybody.
Well, from everything that we've talked about already, I am done. We have run out of information finally, so don't worry. But I do want to say thank you guys for listening, and I hope you guys at least had a good time. And remember that the best cure for a hangover is fear. Good night, guys.
See you later.